Level 1. Chinpira. You're 19. The rain comes down in gray sheets, freezing the back of your neck. You stand outside a pachinko parlor in Kabukicho, holding a black umbrella over a black Lexus. You've been standing there for 6 hours. Your feet are numb inside cheap leather loafers. Your pay is 0. You sleep on a tatami mat in a room with 5 other boys, eating instant ramen and sweeping cigarette ash. Sato walks out of the parlor. Sato had a missing left earlobe and smelled like stale malt liquor. He tosses you a damp towel. "Wipe the rims," he says. You crouch in the freezing mud. You scrub the chrome until your knuckles bleed. Nobody sees you doing it. Nobody thanks you. A drunken salaryman stumbles out and vomits on your shoes. You don't move. You wait for Sato's nod. The nod doesn't come. You stand perfectly still for 10 minutes while the vomit sinks into your socks. The system is a machine designed to crush ego. You learn to bow lower. Level 2. Kobun. You're 22. The unglazed earthen cup feels rough against your lower lip. You are sitting in Caesar formation in a windowless room. The air smells of incense and floor wax. You've been kneeling for 3 hours. Your calves are entirely dead. This is the Sakazuki ceremony. You are drinking 80 proof sake, mixed with a single drop of blood, bonding you to the family. Tanaka sits across from you. Tanaka wore suits 2 sizes too big and breathed heavily through his nose. He slides a folded white envelope across the low wooden table. "Don't open it here," he whispers. You take the paper. You are officially in. Your daily stipend is 15,000 yen. Your job is moving 60-pound boxes of contraband across the docks at 3 a.m. A week later, you drop a box. 6 imported watches shatter on the concrete. The captain backhands you across the jaw with a heavy gold ring. You taste copper. You don't rub your face. You just bow. The sting fades. Level 3. Kumi-in. You're 25. The neon sign outside the hostess bar casts a pink glow over the glass table. You are collecting the monthly protection fee. The envelope should contain exactly 400,000 yen. You count it twice. It holds 280,000. The bar manager is sweating through his white collar, trembling violently. Kenji leans against the doorframe. Kenji always chewed mint toothpicks and pointed with his chin. Kenji points at the manager's left hand. You grab the manager's index finger. You press it flat against the cold glass. The manager starts crying. He begs about a sick daughter and hospital bills. You wait. 5 seconds of heavy, suffocating silence fill the small room. The bass from the club downstairs thumps through the floorboards. You apply 40 pounds of downward pressure. The joint snaps with the sound of a dry branch. You collect the 280,000 yen and walk out into the humid night. They pay for the fear. Level 4. Shatei. You're 29. The ledger in your hands dictates the survival of 34 desperate people. You manage a localized loan sharking operation. The interest rate is 10% every 10 days. You float $120,000 of the family's money on the street. You wear tailored suits now, but they smell like cigarette smoke and cheap air freshener from your cramped office. Ishida sits at the desk. Ishida had a severe stutter and never looked at the numbers. He ran," Ishida says, handing you a dossier. A debtor skipped town owing $18,000. You track him to a capsule hotel in Osaka. He is asleep in a plastic tube. You pull him out by his hair. You hold a 6-inch blade to his throat. You have a choice. Cut him and send a message, or take his passport and put him on a fishing boat in the Bering Sea. You choose the boat. You watch him get shoved into the back of a refrigerated van. Blood doesn't pay interest. Before we go further, if you've made it this far, comment what career you want to see next. Hit that like button right now and subscribe. We upload every single day. Level 5. Kyodai. You're 34. The basement is soundproofed with heavy foam panels. You command 15 men. Your territory generates $800,000 a month from extortion, gambling, and vice. Last night, a police raid seized $2 million in narcotics from your warehouse. You failed. You kneel on a white towel. The room is dead silent. Matsui stands by the door. Matsui had a spiderweb tattoo on his throat and just sighed when things went wrong. The Oyabun sits in the leather chair, looking at the wall. He doesn't yell. The silence is worse than screaming. You pull the tanto blade from its wooden sheath. You place your left pinky finger on the wooden cutting block. You wrap the remaining fingers tight. You hold your breath. You drive your right palm down on the back of the blade. The cartilage gives way. The pain is white-hot and absolute. You wrap the severed joint in a square of white silk. You hand it to the Oyabun. He takes it without a word. You learn that loyalty is written in anatomy. Level 6, Wakagashira-hosa. You're 39. The blueprints on the table represent a $14 million real estate development. You don't break fingers anymore. You break zoning laws. You run 4 shell companies masking syndicate money. Your suits cost $3,000. You sleep 4 hours a night. A younger captain, a 26-year-old hotshot, has been skimming 5% off the construction kickbacks. Fujimoto sits beside you. Fujimoto drank hot water from a thermos and constantly tapped his gold watch. "He thinks you're slow," Fujimoto murmurs. You invite the hotshot to a private dinner. You don't bring weapons. You order high-grade Wagyu. You eat slowly. You just stare at him across the grill. You don't blink. The hotshot stops eating. He starts sweating. He starts talking, then stammering, then confessing. You never raise your voice. You let his own guilt suffocate him until he hands over the bank tokens. Skill isn't physical force. It's the application of psychological gravity. Fear is a quiet room. Level 7. Wakagashira. You're 45. The fugu sashimi is sliced thin enough to see the hand-painted porcelain plate underneath. You are the number 2 of a family boasting 600 maid members. Annual revenue sits at $45 million. The anti-gang laws are tightening. The police are freezing bank accounts. Yamamoto sits across from you. Yamamoto was missing 3 fingers and never actually ate the fish. The prosecutor has a witness, Yamamoto says. The witness is your oldest friend in the syndicate, a man who saved your life in a knife fight 20 years ago. He is turning state's evidence to protect his son from a drug charge. You have 2 bad options: kill your friend and orphan his son, or let him testify and watch the Oyabun go to prison for life. You stare at the translucent fish. The poison is carefully cut away by the chef, but the risk is always there. You slide a burner phone across the table. You give the order. You eat the poison. Level 8. Saiko-komon. You're 52. The boardroom in Ginza overlooks the glittering sprawl of Tokyo. You are a senior advisor. You deal with politicians, corporate board members, and police chiefs. You manage a $200 million investment portfolio. The violence is buried under 12 layers of corporate bureaucracy. Minister Oda sits at the head of the table. Oda sweated through his collars and always laughed at his own jokes. The new legislation requires a gesture, Oda says, wiping his forehead. The government needs a win. You have to sacrifice a faction. You choose a loyal subsidiary family of 80 men. You cut them off. You sign the expulsion documents that will leave them completely exposed to rival gangs and police raids. You condemn 80 men to death or prison with the stroke of a fountain pen. There is no blood on your hands. There is only ink. Paper cuts deepest. Level 9. Oyabun. You're 61. The tatami room spans 60 mats. You are the patriarch. You control an empire worth $800 million. 3,000 men wear your crest. You sit at the head of the room. 12 captains kneel before you. Kazuo is beside you. Kazuo breathed from a portable oxygen tank and closed his eyes whenever you spoke. A rival syndicate, the very people who took your territory a decade ago, offers a peace treaty. They want a merger. You know it is a trap. They want to assassinate you at the signing ceremony. You look at the 12 men waiting for your command. You have to walk into the trap to force their hand, to give your men the justification to wipe them out completely. You agree to the meeting. You know you are the bait. You pour a cup of green tea. The steam rises into the cold air. The throne is a target. Level 10, Sosaicho. You're 70. The walled garden in Kyoto is perfectly still. The only sound is the bamboo water feature hitting the stone basin. You stepped down 3 years ago. You are a phantom. You have $40 million in untouchable assets. 3 bodyguards stand outside the wooden gate. You sit on the veranda, wearing a simple cotton yukata. The autumn air is sharp. You don't think about the $800 million empire. You don't think about the boardroom in Ginza, or the politicians, or the blood. You watch a single koi swim in the dark water. You think about Sato and his missing earlobe outside the pachinko parlor. You think about Tanaka handing you the white envelope. You think about Ishida's stutter. You sit alone in the fading light, realizing that you spent half a century building a fortress, only to become its permanent prisoner. You were never the story. You were the structure.